Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview real estate investing professionals from coast to coast, as well as the service providers that serve the real estate investing industry. Our goal is simple: share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level and meet the pros that can help you get there. Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and professionals build the business you need to live the life you've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Real Estate Pros podcast, brought to you by Investor Fuel, the nation's premier real estate mastermind. I'm your host, Dylan Silver, and today we have Jason Palliser. And Jason is a real estate investor with a finance background, lead engagement and negotiation specialist. Jason, welcome to the show.
Hey, happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, man. First, I always ask at the top, when I get into people's background, how did you get introduced to real estate?
So how I got introduced was, to me, a pretty logical flow. So I actually got a degree in finance from the University of Missouri, and I started using it, which a lot of people don't use their degree. So I started lending money and quickly realized that I get repeat customers if I work with investors. So my journey started with funding the deals for investors first, and I found that I started learning almost every obscure program there was that people didn't know about. And then some of the TV shows and the Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Kiyosaki started, hey, teach our people how to get funding. But here's what I quickly realized is that these investors were coming to me from all over the United States. They're like, wow, I didn't even know this existed. Thank you. High-fiving me, leaving the closing on something they didn't think was going to get done. And they walk out making 50 grand, cashing out 50 to 100 grand. And I'm making 3 grand and they're high-fiving me. And I said, wait a minute. So about 2 years in, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to start investing myself. And I just dove in head first, and fast forward now 26 years later, speaking and teaching across the nation on lead gen and various aspects of real estate, do lots of deals and hedge fund level clients. I was just with one yesterday driving to the Ozarks. I'm in St. Louis right now visiting family, and set some stuff up for him. He did 9,000 homes in 6 years. So I set up to take over cities lead flow wise, but it started with me investment funding, and then going, wait, this isn't equitable. I make 3 grand, you walk out with 50, and you thought you were dead in the water on financing. So I was like, you know what? Let me dip my toes into the investment sandbox, and once one toe was in, I never left.
So from there, was your first deal a single family home?
My first deal was actually a 4-family.
Four
So
family, okay.
4-family property.
Was this in that area, St. Louis area?
Yeah, I'm originally from here. I live in Florida now, St. Pete specifically. But I float between properties. It's kind of the way I built my life.
Yeah.
I call St. Pete home, but St. Louis is where I did my first transaction. And it was actually one of the investors that I helped get financing for. I'm like, hey, I'm going to start doing this. And he's like, I've got several projects going on. If you want to buy one off of me, he's like, hey, I'm going to make some money on it, but let's do it together. So he structured, again, I was a program specialist. I knew crazy stuff like stated income on an investment property to 80%, 500 middle credit score, which means anybody can get approved. And the 20% down could be from the seller. So that that's what I did with him. I didn't do a stated income, but he sold me a 4-family and financed the 20% down. So I got into the property with no money out of my own pocket.
Mm.
It took 2 months, got it up and running, cash flowed it for 5-6 years, and then doubled my money. I wish I would have kept it, but
Yeah.
so my first deal, I used my investment specialty, creative funding skill set to get into that transaction. Really beyond just doing some paint and a couple like I was $4,000 into it on probably a $120,000 4-family.
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
And after that, was it almost like a proof of concept and you dove headfirst in, or was it like, this is the first one and let me see how it goes?
Well, for anybody listening, I'm a sicko. So as soon as I got the first 4 units rented, I'm like, okay, time to supersize. So, I saw the value in, can I be better than the marketplace that buys a high equity absentee owner list, a vacant list, and calls, and are you interested in selling? Can I get to off market owners that have some level of motivation, sharper, faster, and really engage their brain the right way? So what I did was I'm like, I bought 2 or 3 of my first ones the way I just told you from another investor, and I'm like, wait a second, if I can get there first, I'm getting deeper discounts. So then I went on a 6-year catch me if you can journey to just do it differently than everyone else. To this day, people are like, hey, I heard you on this, or I saw your YouTube channel, all this stuff. And they're like, can you give me one of your best lead flows? Cause I have 34, not 2, not 4, like most investors, but 34. They're like, give me the flavor of how you engage them differently. So if somebody asks me that, I usually fall into the tax delinquent lead flow. I'm like, most investors, and this is just for fun for everybody, most investors in any city you choose, there's probably 20 competitors that are smart enough to go after tax delinquents before they go to tax sale. So I'm not talking about tax sale stuff, but before I go, but everybody does the same thing, as you know, Dylan, which is, hey, before you lose your house at tax sale, let me put some cash in your pocket. So when
That's what
somebody,
I'm doing now, so I know.
oh, okay, well then put your seatbelt on then. So Dylan, if that's the case, when somebody asks me, they're like, dude, I heard you do things that are insane, like just beyond what my brain has ever digested. So I say that's what most people do on text. So like, I'm just giving you one example of a lead flow, right? So I say, while they do that, you should do something like this. That same list that they're going, hey, before you lose it, can I put some cash in your pocket? I will go to the same city that you're in, folks, and get that same list that you have. So there's nothing magical there, but then do stuff like this. Hey, I noticed you're behind on your state property tax. At our tax care organization, we help pull funds together to pay those delinquent taxes for those who qualify for assistance. If you'd like to see if you're eligible, call us at, visit us at, email us at, and reference tax assistance code TAC 424001. Program note, all funds are released directly to the county collector of revenue, and you're entitled to a copy of the receipt. Sincerely, Dylan, Eligibility Department. So when people ask me, show me what you do for the hedge funds, why do the hedge
Wow.
funds manage 50 homes a month, and I'm trying to compete against them, and I say stuff like that, they're like, oh, now I get it. Because one, they don't view me as a real estate investor. If somebody's missed a property tax payment, do you think they want to talk to a real estate investor or a tax care company?
Tax
And
care.
and everybody's like, well, now that you laid it out, tax care. And so what we do is we teach people, now that your phone starts ringing, one, they want to talk to you. 2, they called you. 3, you don't have to skip trace. 4, I got their real phone number. 5, they're ready to spill their guts to see if they qualify. So then I say, we got 3 separate ways we can help you. Give me 2 minutes, tell me the situation. And folks, if you're listening, it is easy to close deal after deal after deal and help a homeowner when they spill their guts on the very first phone call. So I always tell people, how do you engage different lead flows the right way? So where commands they want to speak to and they look at you differently than everyone else, because quite frankly, if you do what everybody else does, they're all doing and saying roughly the same thing. So the seller of a property's already heard it 15 times. And when I get hired to average 50 homes a month, I can't afford to be like everyone else.
If you're looking for consistent, high-quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency, it's the most sophisticated, data-driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors, and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
When selfishly, and you can say, hey, I can't give all the game away, but are any of these people able to stay in their home, or you're buying their home and they're vacating?
No, so we say, hey, we can help you 3 different ways. We give them, and again, I'm not going to give away the secret sauce, but just to have everybody truly understand the gravity of what I'm saying here, and that you can wake up tomorrow and start doing this vastly different. We say, hey, one of the ways is, if you can pay off your back taxes in a certain amount of time, I'll email you and let that serve as a voucher that I'll reimburse you for a portion of your back taxes.
Mm.
So now I just illustrated to them that, hey, I'm willing to potentially help them if they can perform and do something with nothing in return. They freak out. They literally go, you know what, 99.9 times out of 100, that's not going to work based upon the parameters we give them. And then
Yeah.
we flow into, well, I don't want you to lose at a tax sale with nothing to show for it, because there's a guy named Dylan that's waiting for you to do nothing and buy it at tax sale without ever wanting to speak to you. I'd rather find a way to work with you. And because of the approach and engaging the lead flow the right way, which is what I get paid to do by these big companies, we don't view regular investors in any market they hire me to enter as competition. In fact, they do the work for me. Hey, I'm looking to buy one more house in the area. Would you like to sell? And the homeowner, like, seriously, you're the 15th person. And then when we engage them, we're like, hey, I could do this, and I'll help you, give you a little bit of your tax money back if you can pay it off in a certain amount of time with certain parameters, which I won't give away because I've spent 10 years developing just that one lead flow out of 34.
Yeah.
But every lead flow we attack is like the way we would approach a pre-foreclosure, which is a very good lead by law running out of time. We do it so unbelievably different than everyone else that the property owners want to work with us. So real estate investment isn't hard when on the front end you engage them the right way. Period. End of story.
Which talks about, leads us into something that we were talking about before the podcast started, where, quality of leads. People talk about, pay-per-click leads, and they're getting pricier, and there's so many different ways you can go and places you can
Correct.
go to for pay-per-click leads, and people are trying to dissect which is the best pay-per-click lead provider. And sure, there's lots of different options, but
Yep.
lead engagement is something that I haven't heard someone dive into as extensively as it seems you've gone into. So tell us about that in broad strokes.
Okay. So again, started speaking for the TV shows and, on different areas of real estate, but lead flow was kind of the flagship thing. They're like, because I tell everybody, hey, I can teach you lease options. I can teach you owner financing subject to flips, wholesale. But if you don't have the skill to get there first and engage them the right way, then you have knowledge that's not applicable. And when I teach in that manner, people are like, I get it. So
Yeah.
what I spent years doing, and then a large company that needed 1,000 homes in 72 months, they're like, hey, we heard you have some lead flow stuff that will explode our front end opportunity. Can we hire you? And so what happened is this. So folks, if you're listening and paying attention, I took what I was perfecting, and then these bigger companies hired me and then allowed me to pour gasoline on the fire. Meaning I was attacking the lead flows. Even at that point, I was attacking it differently than most regular investors in the market, or what I call casual investor marketplace. But then when they stepped in, they gave me ungodly budgets. So now I splintered each lead flow 50 different ways. So what happened is that I was doing, how do I use the Freedom of Information Act to get water dissonance, code violations, cease and desist order to vacate? And then how do I, on each of those lead flows I just said, I'm going to test 50 different ways to engage them. And then what I do is I test things in 120-day increments, see which ones are the top 4 out of 50. Then I do it again for 120 days. Okay, so I do it again for 120 days with those 4, and then I see which one wins. And then I'm just constantly, methodically tweaking those. So just like I rattled off the top of my head, the tax care letter that we do, and then we have 3 distinct things that we do. One of them even there's actually 5, but that we offer to them, but 3 main ones. But one of them, we allow them to stay in the property. We say, hey, here's what it looks like to stay in the property. So would you like to not pack one single box, but here's what it would look like. And we lay that out for them, and then they choose stuff like, when you give people options, they choose. If you're just trying to negotiate in circles on price, then I can show you somebody that should be closing 5-7 contracts a month if they've been trained well enough, that's struggling to close 1 or 2.
Yeah.
And
And,
so
you
that's
know,
kind of what it looks like.
I resonate with that on a personal note, and I think everybody who's listening is hearing you talk about the options. And if you've made these calls, if you have, I'm in Texas, so if you're familiar with the Roddy report, if you have a Roddy report and you're calling through, and my call sounds just like the one that you said that everyone's getting, hey, I saw that your home is unfortunately going into foreclosure. Have you gotten this solved? Have you talked with anybody about this? And it's that's what it is. And so even me personally, um, I'm looking at it and I'm saying I want to know about those other strategies.
Well, Dylan,
So
when you say that, you know what I do? Do you know what I teach people to do? And the bigger companies that hire me and I train their entire office, I'm like, talk to the homeowners about that. Like, hey, I bet this guy Dylan called you and said, hey, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, yep. I go, do you want to hear something different? And they're like, yeah, hit me. And then we do what we do. So I use what everybody else is doing against them.
If you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel Club at investorfuel.com/club.
yeah, and that's part of the I wouldn't say frustration, but maybe people know, and I know, I'm like, there's got to be a better way to do this. Well, on podcast today, we have the guy who's got the better way, and tested it, split tested over 120-day increments, made a livelihood out of it, and taken it to another level. I want to dive a little bit into your career as a speaker, because you've got these multiple paths. Was this something that you were doing at the same point in time, or was this something before or after the lead engagement had started?
So they hired me originally for funding expertise. And then if you really want me to get granular, one of the directors for the Rich Dad Education Kiyosaki brand came up and said, hey, one of the support staff said you closed 23 transactions last month. And I'm like, yep. And they're like, can I ask you how much you spent to do that? I'm like, 2,400. And they're like, it seems like it should be 10 times that. I go, not if you've tested it a lot. And then so that's kind of how it took off from there. And then what happened was, about another 2 or 3 years into speaking, doing it on my own, training and teaching people, a larger company just said, hey, look, we're outpacing the casual investor marketplace, but we're also spending $100,000 a month to do it. So
Yep.
we're basically cheating. We're forcing our way into transactions by the amount of money we're spending. We heard you can set up tons of lead flows that no one's ever heard about and help us with that on the front end and probably reduce our cost. The particular entity that I'm talking about, I reduced their budget by 80% and increased their output fourfold over a 24-month period. So they were over the moon about that, right? But what I got to do is sit back and collect the data. This won, this loses. This wins, this loses. Because we do 2-day blueprint build outs. And I always
Right.
joke, I could do a 5-day and show you 3 days of stuff that I thought would win that was a loser. I'm like, but why would I do that? I want to show you the stuff that we know incrementally across cities, big and small. And if you're listening right now, well, Jason, my market's unique. No, it's not. I mean, like New York, Chicago, Dallas, Phoenix, Atlanta, Houston, Los Angeles, Topeka, Kansas, a small sample size. It doesn't matter. Bad things happen to good people in every market. Can you
Yep.
engage them the right way? So as you and I talked before we started, if you do what everyone else does, there's probably a level of frustration. If you're doing things well beyond the casual marketplace, then real estate investment really isn't hard. Like one other example, just for fun, is if you're listening, folks, why have you not spent 1 hour of your professional career? I know the answer, I think, but what if you took 1 hour of your professional career, blocked it out, Googled local junk removal companies, and then called to set up a co-op with them? Now, when I say co-op, I know you're, what? Well, we developed, hey, do we talk to the junk removal company this way? Nope. Failure. Do we talk to them this way? So we say, hey, can I set up a co-op with you? Because that almost every time gets them to go, well, what do you mean? So we say, hey, look, you win some bids, you lose some bids. Every time you give a bid, I'd like to do a co-op with you. When you give a bid, say, hey, I work closely with a gentleman named Jason from Allied Property. If you're going to sell it, I can put you in touch with him. He'll give you an offer in 24 hours if you're going to sell it. And every time you do that and I buy the house, I'll give you $2,000. So every bid you give to make money, there's also an opportunity to make $2,000 and work closely with each other. And if I buy it, but you didn't win the bid, I'll put in writing that you get the junk removal services and I also pay you $2,000.
On a personal note, I'm listening to this with my ears peeled open, so to speak, because I have a saying. I call it fanatical networking, or I have heard Mike Hambright, who owns our Investor Fuel Real Estate Mastermind, who's a sponsor of this podcast, say networking junkie. And I didn't know that I was doing that when I was getting out of automotive, where I spent the better part of 5 years in automotive before I transitioned into real estate. But
Mhm.
really, I was like, how do I get in? How do I start? And for folks who are feeling like that, I always tell them, you have to be networking like crazy. Like whatever you think is a lot of networking, you need to crank that up exponentially. If you're doing something once a month, let's do 10 times that. Try to go to 2 meetups a
Correct.
week and you'll find the people. And you've applied that to lead sources and engagement. So you can think about just the tentacles. I'm
Correct.
thinking about it because I've applied it to one area of my life, which is meeting people. How I'm
Yeah.
sitting here. But you've applied it to not just that, because you need that to be in the real estate space, but you've applied it to your clients and the sources of leads. It's just
Well,
like,
yeah. Well, think about this, Dylan. I just verbalized something to everybody. And I'm sure that as you're listening, you're like, man, I've never heard of that before. Because gurus don't teach it. And I don't say gurus like in a bad way. They just do one thing, get this list, cold call, they play the consistency model, which is fine, uh, in favor of it, right? But I'm willing to bet what you just heard a minute or two ago that you and I are discussing, if I add two pieces to it, a little bit of a seasoning to it, that good luck going to sleep tonight. Because I bet when I said create a co-op with the junk removal companies, one, you didn't think to do that. But two, did you ever think that now the only time you get a lead, with the new relationship is when somebody wants an offer? You know what that eliminates? CRMs. You know what that eliminates? Follow-up. They're like, hey, I was told to call you. I'm selling my property. Yeah, I can make you an offer. Give me some details. That's the only time I get a lead. And then doubling down. When do you folks want a lead? I'm willing to bet it's at the same time somebody gets a bid to remove junk, because people don't do that for fun. So it's different lead flows that no one ever talks about. And by the way, I'll triple down on that. How much does that cost me marketing budget wise? $0.0. And I track all this stuff. Remember I said I track in increments. Each relationship that you get, foster, and start working is easily 30 to 40. Hey, this person wants an offer from you a year. So it's 30 to 40 leads where somebody wants to sell right now, make an offer, negotiate, get a deal. But people like to make real estate investment hard. It's just no one slows down to teach you. You can do this without a big budget. You can do this deliberately. And these leads are coming to me with I don't have competition. I don't have any competition on these. And
Yeah.
so we systematically go through 34 of those and be like, hey, your competition has 1 or 2 lead flows in any city you choose. You have 34. How do you think the math is going to shake out for them? I'll tell you, not good. Your competition, sorry.
The folks that are listening, the common theme that I see with folks who've been in this for a full cycle, 25 years or about that, is that they're agile. But Jason has taken this to another level, because we're not just talking about agility. We're talking about almost being like agnostic to how you're coming about it. Because a lot of people would say, we're not doing that. No, 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 no. This isn't our business model. But if you do that, then what happens when your time runs out? What happens when you can no longer do that thing? What happens when the market or statutes change, and now or everyone's doing it? There's a new TikTok, YouTube, and it's flooded. Everyone's a wholesaler. Well, how many people
Yeah.
are calling the junk removal company and offering to be a co-op, and then getting the seller calling them up? It's like, this is like like I'm Neo in the Matrix. Like, I'm just dodging bullets here, and I imagine that's how you feel, when it comes to your lead funnel and your lead sources. It's like, I'm not just gonna ride or die this one thing, and I'm not gonna do
No.
that.
Well, I know which ones are where you said something that I hope people paid attention to earlier and I didn't jump on it. I should have. Is that you said, hey, there's all these different lead types, and but I track them all. So I know which ones every 120 days, which one ranks number 1 across 300 cities, which one ranks number 2. Anything that's a top 10, you should be doing. And so we know which ones are 1, 2, 4, 12, 13, 6, 9, 11. And so there's no guesswork on my end. And the fun part for me, and I hope it's coming, I know this won't be popular if you hear this because you've listened to all the same YouTube channels, podcasts like we're doing right now, but heaven forbid, folks, heaven forbid when text messaging goes away because you're going to get fined, or cold calling has they put tighter rules on it. Well, if they're calling me because of the way we engage the lead flow, I don't have any problems. If that goes away, I close more deals because everyone else will be,
Is gone.
you're done. And I'm not saying it in a bad way. When I started doing what I do for these larger companies for individuals 9 years ago, because I stepped away from the TV show stuff, waited for my non-competes and I said, hey folks, who wants to see what we do for hedge funds? It was fun for me. And showing individuals what we do for larger companies, that was probably the most fun defining moment in my career, is that now I get to show people how it's done. And I get text messages all the time like, hey, junk removal for the victory. Or you said pay-per-click. Well, one of the lead flows we do is show you how to rank on Google for free instead of doing pay-per-click stuff for sell my house fast and what. Hey, somebody in Arizona, Phoenix, sell my house. I need to sell my house now. Sell my house fast. I show people how to rank for that, and I get text messages. Hey, Google for the victory, free of charge. Like, it took years to figure out those things, like all the way down to doing direct mail for free.
Yeah.
Took me. Yeah, I can put you in 20,000 mailboxes, Dylan, for free. What
I
do you
know
think the
how
fun
much
is
people are spending on direct mail, which is why I'm laughing. $80,000 a month. You hear that? I've heard that number multiple times, and I'm thinking, man, that's a lot. These are not large. They're medium-sized, smaller companies. I know the people. It's not. They're
right?
putting, almost 100 grand into mail marketing a month for
But
accounting.
but give your audience perspective, because those numbers scare people. Now they're listening and going, okay, now I'm scared. No, you don't need to be.
Yeah.
Two truths that you just said, two truths. The biggest player that you want to start closing some deals in whatever city, there's a big player in every city. But the biggest players in those cities, common denominator, they all do a lot of direct mail. You know why? Because they privately know it works. They also privately know that you as an individual investor won't buck up to 5, 10 grand a month to squeeze out a deal or two. If they're spending 80 grand, they're closing 15 deals. And if those 15 deals net them 15 grand a piece, it's 150 grand. Would you spend 80 to do one? Of course you would. But no one's going to work their way up to that as a casual investor.
Right.
Well, I figured out how to be in 20,000 30,000 mailboxes for free every month. You know what that means? You can actually compete overnight against the biggest player in town, and there ain't SHIT they can do about it. And so, again, I do this stuff out of necessity. Some of the things that we test and come up with, because I was beating my head against the wall in my K, we're averaging, they need 42 homes a month. We're consistently stuck at 30 to 34. I'm like, what else are we not doing? And like I said, I could do a 5-day training on 3 days of it, showing people stuff that we thought would work that didn't. But there are some winners out there that cost you $0 in marketing budget that you could be doing and closing 1 to 2 contracts a month. It's just sitting down to learn a different way to do this. But when text messages and phone calling gets tighter or goes away,
Yeah.
the floodgates are open. I can't wait.
Let me tell you what. So I'm gonna, God willing, be a real estate agent in April. I'm sitting for my test 31st, and one of the things is if you're a realtor, with the new restrictions, you anything can be a complaint. If you're in Texas, anything can be a Trek complaint. It feels like.
Yep.
So there's so much that you can't do, and among one of those things is just texting everybody. So even if you're trying to be safe, you may want to look at, well, what are some non-conventional ways that I could do these deals creatively, and where do I go? Well, you go to Jason. Speaking of which, we're coming up on time here, Jason. Where can people go to get a hold of you?
Well, you can find me on Facebook. We have a YouTube channel called No Flipping Excuses. Or the best, easiest way is just to schedule a call on my personal calendar. You can go to the number 2, www.2dayblueprint.com, because one of the big companies, I just called an off-market attack. And I always get made fun of because I get excited. I'm like, we're going to suffocate a city 34 ways without a budget, blah, blah, blah. But one of the big companies is like, geez, in 2 days, you walked us through your operations map. In 2 days, it was a blueprint. So it's just the number 2dayblueprint.com. Pick a time that works for you, and you could schedule a call with me or just shoot me a text message, 314-749-3737, and say, hey, I'm interested in destroying my city and we can talk. Like, it's fun.
There's so much I could dive into here. We didn't even able to talk about negotiation, which was a topic that we had said before the podcast that we would really get into here. A little bit we hit it, but the lead engagement for me as a wholesaler is so. I'm grateful that there's people like you out there that are doing it, because I didn't know. All I knew is what I knew, and it's the same thing that you said that everybody is doing. And even in my heart, I'm like, there's got to be a better way. So, folks, if you're a wholesaler, if you're doing fix and flips and finding your leads the same way that everybody else is, and you're looking for, hey, how can I, be the Doge of my own, assets? How can I reduce my expenses but still get even more or higher quality leads? Hit up Jason. And you know what? I got stuff to learn from this too, because I have lots of questions. My ears are peeled wide open. But that wraps up another episode of the Real Estate Pros podcast by Investor Fuel. And until next time, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for joining us for today's Real Estate Pros Show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing for your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. If you're interested in joining us as a guest of this show, please visit investorfuel.com/pros to apply. You can also check the show notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next show.